Well, I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that knows anything about basketball that the number one thing that the Chaparrals are going to have to do is be able to compete with other teams in the league, and we're going to have to sign some of our top draft choices. We're going to have to. I think this year, for the first time, we've had a good draft list, and naturally, we're going to have to sign some of them to become competitive. And
when you say competitive, are you talking about the Chaparrals being competitive not only on the basketball court, but in getting those draftees in?
Well, yes. I think that Dallas, I personally feel that Dallas is a great sports town. I think Dallas, even though this is football country, I think Dallas would support a winner in basketball. And I feel like that if we'd been in second or third place this year, that we'd have probably averaged 7,000 or 8,000 a game. And I think the Cowboys can lose a game, and they've been filling the Cotton Bowl, say, for 3 or 4 straight Sundays, and winning, and then they lose a game, and then the next Sunday, they fall off by about 10,000. So there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, people like to be number one, and this is what our whole society, this is what has made America great, is competing to be number one. And I think that we have got to start competing to be number one, and you've got to have the horses to win the race. That's all there is to it.
Every day over freeways like this, an estimated 200,000 people come from outside the city of Dallas to work in Dallas, or as City Councilman George Allen prefers to consider them, 200 potential taxpayers who aren't carrying their share. Well, after Councilman Allen proposed yesterday that the legislature pass enabling laws that would allow Dallas to tax those people driving into Dallas to work, it looks like each one of those persons has considered downtown Dallas a little farther away now. One of them is Doug Faulkner, who talked about it on Channel 8's News at Noon. The reaction is not just from the citizenry, those people who drive from the suburbs into Dallas to work for a day. Officials of the suburbs outlying Dallas have also gotten hot into the collar about this. For example, Garland Mayor Rufus Ruppert told me he thought it was provincial. He thought it didn't stand a chance. And Irving Mayor Bob Power, mayor of perhaps the biggest suburb of Dallas, maybe has some plans of his own for fighting back.
For example, if the people of Irving and of Garland and Richardson and other suburbs are going to be taxed because they live in our area and work in Dallas, then I think the Dallas businesses that have their locations in Dallas and do business in our cities, send their trucks and other equipment upon our public streets, should pay to us for the upkeep and maintenance of our streets in our municipalities. Something like a $5,000 a year license fee for every business in Dallas that does business in Irving or any other city.
Have you been in touch with anyone in the legislature about it yet?
No, I have not as of yet today, but I do have a great feeling of confidence in the legislators representing Dallas County, and I think they will see the unwise nature of this proposed legislation.
Well, the whole thing may be a moot question anyway. I asked one Dallas lawyer who spent years studying the legislature what chance such a bill would have in Austin. He said, none. This is Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move in a taxable Dallas suburb.
In this campaign, I will not stand still for fancy political double talk, games, or gimmicks. Now, my opponent is a great talker. That's his profession. He's a TV and radio talker. But action speaks louder than words. I'm no talker, but I'm a doer. I have a 35-year record as having done things for my city. If my opponent is still talking about the Dallas spirit being dead, he needs to stop talking, clean his political rubbish out of his ears, and start listening to something other than the sound of his own voice.
Mr. Mays and the Citizens Charter Association are absolutely scared to death to have to stoop to such desperation political statements as this. This is far beneath the dignity of Mr. Mays, who only yesterday was smiling at me and shaking my hand in his usual friendly fashion. Of course, this is not usual. Did the people of this city elect me by a 2-to-1 majority to their city council because I was a talker or a doer? And did they put me in the runoff against the overwhelming odds of the Citizens Charter Association because I am a talker or because I am a doer? I told my backers that this would be a David and Goliath affair, but I am absolutely shocked that Goliath is this worried and this desperate at this time.
Did this take the Chaparrals completely by surprise? It seemed to have taken an awful lot of other people that way after Max's resignation yesterday.
No, not really, Malcolm. We had discussed it somewhat earlier. This is something that I've given quite a bit of thought to, and it wasn't something that I just did overnight.
Did it have anything to do with the resignation of Nolan?
No, not really. It's kind of a personal thing, really.
Do you have some definite plans as to what you want to do now?
Yes, I have a couple of things in mind. I'm not going to make a decision probably for another couple of weeks. I'm just going to try to, clear my mind, clear the cobwebs, and try to be able to think properly. Because at the end of a basketball season, you're not really. Sometimes you don't have yourself all together.
Especially with a season like you've had this
true.
last year.
It's been a hectic year, to say the least.
I understand that Bob Briner would like very much to keep you on in some capacity with the Chaparrals. Would you consider that?
Yes, we have discussed this, and I'm definitely considering this as one of the things that I might do.
It was a knee injury, and I had it operated on, and it's something that you really don't think about. You plan naturally, and if it just happens. It's one of those things that happen, and I'm glad it's over with now.
Of course, it cost you an entire year of your career, and I'm sure you regret that aspect of it.
Yeah, 1 year, that really sets you back, but I'm still young. I'm just 20 now, and I'm glad it didn't happen when I was 23, 24, and maybe, had a chance in the big leagues and get hurt at the first. It would be more of a harm to me then than it is now.
A lot of guys, when they come off an injury like this, have a little bit of hesitation about testing that thing the first time. Did you?
Yes, well, I worked on it all summer long, just running and exercises. Then I went to winter ball in September, and for the first month I really didn't really go all out on it. I played maybe a couple innings and just tested it and come back slowly. Then after I was sure of it, then I went full speed.
Have you lost any speed as a result of the injury?
No, it doesn't seem to have bothered me at all. I've been running real good in spring training. I stole a few bases, and everything seems just right.
Dennis, they talk about the size of the Dallas defenseman, but you're not exactly the biggest defenseman in the world.
No, I guess I'm the smallest one of the five of us. John Marks is probably our biggest and strongest.
Well, when Coach Bobby Crome talks about using the size of the club to beat these guys in the corners, on the boards, and so forth, where does this put you? Do you try and use your heft as much as, say, the Barry Long and Mags and the bigger fellas?
No, this is probably why I'm teamed with Barry Long, because he's so big and strong, and he takes him out maybe, and I might get a chance to sneak in and get the puck. That's how you have to usually pair defensemen. Have one big strong one and another fellow that can carry the puck maybe.
I know this year in making the All-Central Hockey League team, you scored, what, 54 points? Which, something along those lines. It was above 50, wasn't it?
In there someplace, Vern. I'm not sure just what it was.
Was that your best season scoring?
I scored 50-some last year in Portland, too.
Do you have any really special favorite Cowboy player?
Yes, I do. It's Tom Landry.
Honey, he's not a player.
That's what you think. I don't want you to sell those bald-headed guys short.
Would you own my coat, fellas?
Thank you, Bart. Honored guests, members of the Ag League, ladies and gentlemen, it's a tremendous honor for me to have the opportunity to accept this award on behalf of the Dallas Cowboy organization. Not only Clint Murkison, who has done so much in making this possible, but Tex Schramm, who put this organization together, our staff members in our organization who have worked so hard, and of course the coaching staff, and the most important, the players. It's a real honor for me to be a part of this organization for these last 11 years. I feel like this is sort of a resurrection somewhat after what happened in October. There were a few people that would have liked to have put me in this black robe in a box, you know, about October, and kind of gotten rid of me, but I like to tell Clint's favorite story during October after we lost the Cardinals. Everybody was kind of down on the Cowboys, but I guess me more than anybody else, and it upset Tex so much that he went down to see Clint to see what he might do to help my situation out. And of course, Clint, as you know, is an optimist, and he says, don't worry, just call Tom in and give him a new 10-year contract. Well, of course, this shook Tex up so much, he just said, let's wait, let's don't do it this week. Our PR suffered enough for 1 week.
Hey, anybody want a flag? Mike Denny created this 13-foot metal and fiberglass piece in a sculpture class at SMU. He created it in the hopes that it might be displayed in some public place, but so far there have been no takers. It's not an exact reproduction of the American flag. There are a few variations on it. Mike, exactly what does this flag symbolize?
Well, the single star element in the flag symbolizes the oneness that I'd like to see this country brought together to. And then the arrow symbolizes the direction. The country needs a definite direction. And it's actually I'd say it's a patriotic type thing. I wouldn't say that it's any type of defacing of the flag or anything like that.
Do you want to sell it?
Well, I'd like to sell it, but most of all, I'd just like to have it in a public place. And I'm having a tremendously hard time putting it anywhere because no one has room for this. I would keep it myself, but I don't have room myself. And if I don't do something with it, I'm afraid I may have to cut it up because school is almost out and I can't leave it here. So I'm in trouble.
Okay. Anybody that wants a nice American flag of sorts, contact Mike Denny at SMU Art Department. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna.
Well, our efforts have had something to do with it. I'm convinced of that because our activity in that particular area has been increased, as you mentioned, considerably in the last several months. We're making more cases now than we ever have before, and we're concentrating as much as possible on the pushers and those people who are bringing dope into this city. But this is not the only factor involved in what I believe has been a leveling off point in the use of drugs among young people. I'm not saying that it's on the decline, but I feel like we've reached a peak, and I believe it's beginning to level off.
I was very disappointed in the action the City Council of Dallas took, at least those 7 who voted for the resolution. I thought it was ill-advised that they would take such an action. I thought the results of the action were not considered by those who voted for it, because I can see the results just flowing out to the detriment of all of us who live in this metropolitan region. One city, one entity, just can't take it upon itself to be the kingmakers of all of the metropolitan area. And that apparently is what the Dallas City Council, or at least the majority of them, are attempting to do by this action.
At 10:30 last night, we rang to close a counterfeit investigation that the Secret Service has been working on through 11 states since last September, which involves the manufacturing, passing counterfeit $20 and $10 bills. As yet, I don't know exactly how much we have here in this catch, in this house. One man was arrested last night, gave the name of George Maxim, 36 years of age, and yesterday one man was arrested in Los Angeles, gave the name of Bicus Wolf. The investigation continuing.
There's several reasons why we feel a united church is crucial for this moment. First of all, because we feel that the gospel itself demands visible union among Christians. We speak of the reconciliation of the Christian community, and that reconciliation means nothing if it does not affect the way we really live and move. Secondly, we feel that a united church could be a more effective witness within the human community, that the missionary efforts, the evangelistic efforts, the service to humanity could be far more effective within a united church than in our present divisions. This is fundamentally a spiritual union. It's not merely trying to put people in the same building, except that they covenant together to seek a common life and to work together in the name of Christ. So to that degree, it is a spiritual union, and without that spiritual commitment, you would have a merger and not a union, and there's a quite vast difference between the two. Beyond that, I think it's safe to say that a union will make a difference, so there will be changes. It's not remain as you are and come join, but there will be implications of change.
You plan, I understand you are in college now, is that right?
I took first year of my 3-year phys ed degree, and I plan to go back and take summer school on it.
Well, what about these next 2 games you've got coming up with Omaha? Are you optimistic about being able to win up there?
It's as simple as just winning 1 game in Omaha. That's it. If we can win 1 game there, we've got it. But we haven't won there all year, and it's going to be a tough chore.
Naturally, we're going to go after the first one. This is the big one. If we can win that one, put them in an awful big spot.
I know that going into the playoffs, even back as far as the Fort Worth series, you wanted to concentrate on using the size that you had. Do you feel that you've been able to accomplish that against the Knights?
Well, I don't think we've played it as aggressive as we can, and I think that if we play aggressive, especially in their building, I mean, I think this is the way they're going to come out at us. I think this is the way they feel. And if we hold our own, and more than hold our own, I think that we can. They're not going to push us out of the building. We'll be in pretty good shape. If we play as well as we did in the first game there, I think we can win.
You know, I am a bit out of practice on this. I did an awful lot in the month of February.
I'm Sis. This is my dad.
All right, this is for Dr. Funk. Oh, I see. For Dr. Funk, Lou, and Sis.
Love Sis.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
A displaced scientist or aerospace engineer, if they have not registered with the local office of the Texas Employment Commission, should do so immediately in order to be eligible for the program that is now being initiated for them.
What specific steps should they take?
When they visit the local office of the Texas Employment Commission, they will be requested to leave an application with that office. Also, that application will be maintained in the file there, and efforts made to find them jobs locally. If they cannot, a job cannot be found locally for them, their application will be submitted to the National Registry in Sacramento, California.
That's right. I've had a shot of it on Saturday night, and I think the peak of it was during the game. And I went home to bed right after, and I didn't wake up till Monday morning. So I think I got rid of it then pretty well.
It had to be a kind of a frightening experience to wake up and not know exactly what day it was.
Yeah, I was all ready to go out and lay by the pool, and everybody was going to practice.
Is that a first?
That's a 32-hour sleeping for me, yeah.
Darrell, let's talk about the year and specifically about Omaha. I would guess that having made the second team all-CHL squad, that you must be fairly satisfied with the kind of a year that you individually had.
Well, I sure am. I only came down for 1 year to see what pro was like. I was planning on going back to school, but I'm ready to come back and take a crack at it for another year. And as far as making that second team, I'm quite happy with that. I know there's a couple other fellows in our team, Davey Burrows and Barry Long, who deserve it just as much as I do. I think maybe the scoring column made up for it.
There's a difference in spinning a ball on right-handed hitters and just playing different, I guess. Your biggest difference is turning the double play the other way. As I was playing shortstop, I'm coming across the bag. Now I have to go the other way and turn to make the pivot.
What does it do to a fellow's confidence, knowing that he's not quite that sure of what he's doing?
Well, it's hard to say. You got to play this game with a lot of confidence. If you start asking yourself questions and worrying about certain things about how to play, you're going to get mixed up. You just listen to people like Cal Ripken and listen to what they say, and they're bound to help you.
You know, this is only your second year in pro ball. Last year in Bluefield, West Virginia.
Yes, that was a rookie league, and it's true everything they say about a rookie league.
Will you, when you're 50 years old and teasing the grandchildren, have a few stories to tell them?
I sure will. I'm from Los Angeles, and you go to a small town like Bluefield, and the pace is just like night and day. You go and it's fast-paced from where I'm from, and you go back to Bluefield, and it just slowed down. It was something else.
I think you're trying to tell us you're not going to become a country boy.
No, I'm not. I'm going to stay in the cities.
I felt real deeply that the mayor and the city attorney in the Housing Commission misled the citizens of Dallas by telling them that the reason that they was doing this because it was a conflict of interest, knowing all along that HUD had sent down a policy strongly recommending it that each city and each housing authority would consider putting a tenant on the board. And the community who is not aware of the HUD policy actually believes that the reason that it's no tenant. But what I was trying to do was actually make the mayor and the housing commission state point blank that they do not want tenants on the board for any other reason but a conflict of interest.
Come Monday morning, this table in the Tarrant County Commissioners Court is going to be surrounded by men who are going to be trying to find a replacement for County Criminal Court Number 3 Judge Marvin Simpson. Starting at that end of the table, Howard Green has his own nominee for the job, that County Legal Advisor Jim Morgan. Green explained to me why he's supporting Morgan for the position.
Because I think he has the very highest sense of public responsibility. I think that he's in the mainstream of political thought in this county. He's eminently qualified, and he's done a great job over there in the district attorney's office under very adverse conditions. He wants it, and I think he deserves it.
From Green, we go to Anderson, who's expected to vote along with the judge in favor of Morgan. But then we hit the opposition. R.F. Dick Lewis, Commissioner of Precinct Number 3 in Tarrant County, says he's not going to vote for Morgan, and he told me why.
Well, Jay, I have several reasons why I'm not supporting. One is some 3 weeks ago, Mr. Morgan contacted me and put in his application at that time for the judgeship, and I thought it was a little bit bad timing to be seeking a judgeship that was not vacant at that time. Judge Simpson was still alive, and I certainly like to have respect for people, and I think it was disrespectful to even mention the appointment at that time.
Going down the rest of the table, George Skeet Richardson of Precinct 4 in Tarrant County is expected to go along with Commissioner Lewis in opposing Morgan's appointment to the post. Jerry Mebus, then, Precinct Number 2, newly elected, the newest member of the board, holds the swing. It's going to be, apparently, his opinion Monday morning that decides the issue.
You know, Coach Ron Newman has indicated that he's very, very pleased with the way the team has looked so far. Could you give us an idea of where the improvement has come, do you think?
I think a lot of it, Vern, is just downright desire. We had a good team last year, but we really didn't seem to gel, to use a well-known word here in Dallas. But this year, everybody seems to have the attitude, well, by gosh, we're going to do it. And we worked hard in practice. We went up to this indoor tournament in St. Louis and really won it purely on superior fitness and conditioning. And I just think that this is going to carry us through. This desire to win and this desire to work really hard will carry us through this season, and we hope to a good season.
Would you think, John, that based on your own feeling about this club, that you should be tagged the favorite to win the NASL?
I think so. I think that there are perhaps 2 or 3 teams that must be strongly favored, particularly Atlanta, of course. Always a strong team. 1 or 2 new additions this year, which make them into a very good team indeed. The new clubs, well, of course, we don't know too much about those. Washington, strong last year, bound to be strong again this year. But I feel that our own team, with the extra strength we've got coming in this year, we're really going to be one to look out for.
foot. The silt ranges from about 4 foot to about 20 foot.
What's this going to mean if they do decide to dredge it out? How difficult does it look to you it's going to be?
Well, I'm a geologist, and that's left up to an engineer.
From the stuff you brought up, does it look as though it'd be too difficult to dredge?
It's awful soft and wet. It would almost have to be a big decision whether to pump it or whether to dredge it.
As a geologist, what does it look to you is going to happen to the lake if they don't dredge it?
Well, just in the near future, it'll just be all silted up. Just won't be in the lake.
I believe that there will be legislation coming out of this Congress that will put the major burden on the federal government, which I think is almost imperative in the light of court decisions with reference to residency in an area for eligibility for welfare. I think that Mr. Mills, and he has stated this, in fact, stated this in Dallas last Thursday night, that he felt that there would be, coming out very shortly from his committee, a provision that would set up a maximum of federal participation. Then any state that wanted to go beyond that, it would be up to them. And to the best of my knowledge, the thinking at this time would be a maximum of $2,400 per year for a family of 4.
Only a decade ago, leaders of the Fort Worth community expressed concern with the lack of facilities and programs for the furtherance of the study of science at the higher levels within our city. The complex where we stand is a visible symbol of the response of Texas Christian University and of Fort Worth to that challenge and need which were reflected in the expression of concern.
Thank you, then.
Well, and I appreciate you signing this book for me.
You know, I like to write a little something more than with best wishes, and yet I must take a look and see if there are a lot of people out there.
Well,
so I'll have to hurry, won't I?
200, and I've enjoyed working for both of you all these years.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.